all coming through as far as the unselflessness goes.
It's awesome to see those guys celebrate each other's successes, and I think that there's an energy that's contagious to everybody around them when they see guys that are cheering on their teammates and not worried about whether the ball's coming to them. They're just worried about winning and producing, and it's been pretty fun to watch and humbling to experience, to be honest with you. It's pretty cool.
I know you weren't around last year, but I was on to talk to him in the locker room, and he said that it feels like they're being less selfish than they were last year. Is that something that they talked to you about? Is that something you've picked up on? Like I said, I know you weren't there last year, but what do you think changed this year?
Yeah, I think everybody came into the room this year with a fresh mindset, and we all just started fresh together. And so when we decided as a group what the culture was going to be, and then held each other accountable to it, I think it just became who we are. And it's cool to watch those guys live that out.
Todd, how do you see Kayshawn evolving in the deep passing game?
He's been doing a great job of working down the field. I think he's had success in contested catches and some of the perimeter throws throughout the course of his career, but you really see him finding the details of the down the field routes, and changing speeds within his route stem, working some different, separation techniques and things of that nature. So I've been proud of him and how he's been working in every part of his game. It's fun to see him get rewarded a little bit down the field.
Have you seen them improve over time in their blocking in terms of either for each other, for running, for the run game and so on?
They would probably get a chuckle out of that question because I always tell them there's room for improvement, and I think that we can always find ways to improve in the run game, but it starts with a purpose and a willingness, and they definitely have that. And so the fun part is now trying to help them be more efficient and more successful in sustaining their blocks. But the willingness is there, and the unselfishness to go out there and block is there as well.
How do you keep, obviously quite a few receivers have had a measure of success. How do you keep Kyle Williams' spirits up or keep him encouraged that, his day will come kind of thing?
Yeah. Part of what attracted us to Kyle in the first place is his attitude and his approach to the game. Every day he comes in this building with a bright smile on his face and a hardworking attitude. So that piece of it hasn't been difficult to continue to get out of him. What I have tried to instill in him is this confidence that it is going to come and it is going to turn someday. I've been able to use those guys in the room as examples. Pop went a little stretch without having a ton of production. Then he has a big game in New Orleans that could have been even bigger, or Kayshawn won a couple games without a bunch of production. Now he's making plays. And so I try to use those guys to Kyle and say, hey, your time's going to come. There's going to be some point in the season where he's called on for a bigger role. Who knows when that is, but I'm confident he'll be ready when that happens.
Is there something specific he needs to do better or pay better attention detail-wise to?
No, I think we're always chasing consistency with young players. Kyle's in a room full of talented players, and there are some guys that are ahead of him on the depth chart that aren't giving him room to breathe right now, and that's as much to do with his situation as anything else. He's working hard, he's getting better. I'm going to challenge him to continue to strive for consistency in all the little details. But I like the trajectory he's on. That isn't showing with a ton of reps and a ton of production right now, but I'm very confident where he's at.
Kayshawn talked about how he's not the fastest guy, but he seems to just make up for it with a lot of that effort on those contested catches. Can you see that? And just how does that help someone's game?
Yeah, I think there's a big difference between time speed and play speed. And Kayshawn has good play speed. He maintains his stride length. He's able to play through contact. He's able to hand fight and maintain stride length. So, I think those are things that help him produce down the field and maintain that kind of level of speed that you're looking for.
Awesome.
Does anything Matt Collins do, and I'm not talking about catching the football, surprise you?
He keeps me on my toes, I'll say that. No, he's a pleasure to coach and a pleasure to be around. I told him the other day after the game, I just appreciate the energy he shows up with every day. He leads the charge in being a great teammate and celebrating others' successes. And so he has a fun personality that keeps us all on our toes. But he's
without shoes on, right?
Yeah. That's right. It's the only chance I can, stay close to eye level with him, so he takes his shoes off.
How fun is it to be a part of an explosive passing attack? Like, we haven't seen that in New England in a minute.
You know, we feel like we're just scratching the surface. You know, so there's room for improvement for us, and there's a hunger in our room that, you know, to strive for that perfection, that detail. We're not satisfied with where we're at, so it's definitely not the time to reflect on things that we've done. It's focused on what's ahead of us.
Has Drake kind of hit that point where he throws it and you're just anticipating touchdown?
It's a different role for me this year. I'm watching the receivers and what they're doing. So I a lot of times don't know when the ball's thrown until I see one of my receivers catch it.
Gotcha. Cool.
I guess, how is it a tough thing to kind of keep them at this level and going up, or at least maintaining this level?
I really appreciate the culture in the wide receiver room of not being satisfied with where they're at. There's no complacency or sense of accomplishment. Each week they reset on Monday and Tuesday, and by Wednesday it's the next opponent and the next challenge. And so I'm fortunate to coach some guys that are some leaders that have experienced some things in this league and seen teams maybe get complacent or seen groups maybe get complacent. And you'd have to ask them about those individual experiences, but the vets in my room really help challenge the guys to reset each and every week, which makes my job easy to go in and just try to help them, accomplish the weekly goal of going out and do what we need to do to find a win.
And for your receivers, the challenges of the Falcons secondary, their cornerbacks in particular, what do you see from them?
Well, first of all, they're extremely well coached. I know a number of people on their staff from being with them with the Jets, and they are a detailed group. They're going to be coached well. They're going to be on top of any detail that we're giving away. And so it starts there for me because I have a great respect for their coaching staff. As far as their personnel, very, very talented secondary. Feels like we've had that a few weeks in a row now. And so, we look forward to the challenge that lays ahead of us, but I have nothing but the utmost respect for those guys over there. AJ Terrell's been a fantastic player for a while. I was with Mike Hughes as a rookie in Minnesota, so I know him a little bit and have a lot of respect for him. Jesse Bates has made incredible plays throughout the course of his career, including against me. So a lot of respect for those guys.
Do you gauge or use these? I mean, obviously you played against a really good set of corners last week, secondary, good defense. Do you use these kind of as measuring sticks and gauges to kind of show these guys, look, you're doing this against the elite of the league?
I think you can drink confidence from those experiences, and maybe say, okay, this guy that we played earlier in the year has a similar skill set to someone that we're playing this week, things of that nature. But again, the weekly reset for us and the finite focus on who we're playing that week oftentimes drowns out anything that we had done previously.
And that's probably a good thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What are 2 more questions in you?
I'm all set.
Good?
Thank
All
you,
right.
Todd.
Yeah,
I appreciate
absolutely.
it.
Thank you.
Every single day, or is it you see a different level of urgency with him?
Again, as the season goes, he works hard. He works extremely hard, as they all do, and so I think it's just the natural progression as guys continue to go, they continue to work, they get used to seeing different things, get used to seeing different looks. They just continue to, hopefully, they continue to improve, and that's the progression of it, and that's kind of what's been happening. He's just each week he gets a little bit better, gets a little more settled in, and he's got an opportunity, and he took advantage of it.
I was talking to him, and he just mentioned in the pros, the blitzers have all these moves, and in college it's just kind of bull rushes, but then you get to this level. Just how do you go about coaching that, teaching that? Having him study film maybe to get used to the fact that these guys are going to come with different moves.
Well, it starts with just that. It starts with studying the opponent and understanding who you're going to play against, their play style. So each week we try to, I make cut-ups for them of each individual, the linebackers or DBs that we're going to play against, and I make tapes of their blitzing and show them the different moves, and then we'll watch it together, but they also have it to study and watch on their own. So that just like we're studying them, they're studying us. So some of it's also understanding what you're doing on tape, what they're seeing you do. So you study yourself, kind of self-evaluate, as well as studying the opponent and what they may be doing in terms of their blitz technique and fundamentals.
And what stands out to you about this Falcons blitz scheme and maybe the guys that they've got that they do like to send a lot?
They are relentless in their rushing, and obviously we got an Ellis on our team, so we get to see him every day, and they got some good genetics, obviously. And I think he stands out to me, Caden, because he does a heck of a job. He does a good job with his hands. He's a relentless pass rusher. Sometimes he spins, sometimes he chops, sometimes he runs right over you. So he has a pretty good toolbox of things, and then Bertrand does a really good job. Walker, I mean, these guys are all fast, athletic guys that, Leonard Floyd is still there. So they do a great job. And then I had an opportunity to work with a couple of their coaches, defensive coaches last year, and saw how they coached. And so they're a very well coached group of guys. And I coach with Rudy, who's the linebacker coach. And so I understand the effort, the energy that he puts into coaching those guys and what their expectations and their standards are they're coaching with. So it heightens all of our urgency when you kind of know what you're getting and you see well-coached guys do things.
Tony, I'm sorry if you've been asked about this before, but what have you seen from the three new guys at the group?
Again, it's exciting. It's like almost like Christmas Day. You wake up, you got all these shiny new toys, right? So they're all great guys. I've had some experience in the past with Jonathan Ward there in Tennessee, so I knew him a little bit. But they're all trying to catch up to speed, and obviously they're all different and unique in their style. So coming in the middle of the season like this, they're being sponges, trying to soak everything up. And again, it comes back to blocking and fundamentals and techniques. They're all running backs, so they know how to run. They've been doing it since they were young. So we just got to clean up the fundamentals, teach them the system, and if they win and if they get an opportunity, I'm certainly sure they'll all take advantage of it.
Darren's a little more experienced veteran player. Just you talk about guys trying to get caught up. How does that help him, in a week like this?
Well, he's been around the league. He's been on a couple different teams, so he's been in a couple different systems. And I think across the league, in my experience with these guys, they go team to team. The systems around the league are all somewhat similar. I mean, the plays are all the same. It's just what each team calls them. The fundamentals of blocking and pass pro is all the same. It's just one coach to another, how you say things, phrase things, the terminology you use. So we just need to get on the same page in terms of how we say things or how we do things. And as they get that, fundamentally, when they can relate it to something they already know, and then they can use that to transition themselves into catching on and being able to play quicker.
It's been mentioned that the running backs in the system have more responsibility when it comes to pass protection. So I'm curious, based on the other situations you've been, obviously without giving too much away, what are some of the unique responsibilities that running backs have in those situations?
At the end of the day, I think it still comes back to I got to identify who I'm blocking, and in terms of fundamentals, I got to close the distance to them. I got to stay inside out, use my hands, and then keep my feet moving. So to me, it doesn't matter the system. At the end of the day, once I identify who I have, I get there and I play it that way from a fundamental standpoint. So, again, it's terminology and things like that. But at the end of the day, it comes back to the fundamentals of pass pro in terms of staying inside out, closing the distance, using your hands and striking and using your length and keep your feet moving to keep guys running up the field away from the quarterback.
And are those things that you've seen Travion improve on? Because it seems like the past two times he's had the opportunities, he's really taken advantage.
Sure, he works at it. He hates. He, just like the rest of them, no one wants to make a mistake. No one wants to get the quarterback hit. So sometimes it just takes time to get used to doing something again, or sometimes you overanalyze or you overthink things, and just he, like the rest of them, just need to understand from a physical standpoint, you got the tools, or you wouldn't be in this situation that you're in. So just trust yourself, and then trust us as coaches. Because certainly if we're wrong about something, we'll figure it out and we'll change it to help you be successful. And it's not a cookie cutter. Each guy is different. So sometimes, one shoe doesn't fit all. One size doesn't fit all. So sometimes you have to tweak something as a coach that you've done that maybe fits Ramondre doesn't quite work for Travion. So you just adjust and adapt to those things to fit each individual guy to help them have success. And there's nothing more rewarding as a coach than when you see a guy have success or execute something that he's been working on, because you work on it, and it doesn't work. It didn't work out the way they want. They get discouraged, and just hang with it, stay with the process of it, and then when it works for them, it's they're excited and they're all fired up. And as a coach, you get really excited for them because now they can see something that they've worked on translate from individual drills to team drills to now a game situation. You can stop and pause the game film and show it to them. It's a great feeling, and they get excited. And then obviously if they do it once, then they got the reward, they'll do it again. So
how hard is that for a guy like Travion when you're known for, he's this coming out of college as a really good pass blocker, right? And then he gets to the NFL, different level, different things. How hard is that to deal with that as a young player, to say, wow, I was really good at this. Now I got to start over in a sense.
I think for the player, it's harder than it is for us. We expect for there to be a learning curve. It takes time because the people are different. The competition level is different. Guys are veterans. They're a little more savvy. So we expect there to be a transition. Sometimes I think in the kids' mind, they've had all the success. Like most of them, everybody that comes to the NFL, regardless of the position, they've been super successful at every level of football that they've played. And all of a sudden you get to a point now in the NFL where everybody's equal. And sometimes they're even better. So you have to work fundamentals and techniques to be able, if you're playing against somebody that may be better than you, your fundamentals and techniques give you a chance to be competitive where I'm going to win some, they're going to win some. Whereas when you're better than somebody, you can get away with some poor fundamentals and techniques at times because I'm just better. And so it all kind of evens out as you get to this league. And as he and all of them continue to age and get better, fundamentally, they'll get better at some point. Maybe they'll be better than everybody else at some point again.
Go ahead.
I was just
This
going to say,
last question, guys.
what do you feel like Terrell brings to your room on a daily basis?
He's a joy to be around, but I think the number one thing is toughness. He's a tough kid mentally and physically. So I'm looking forward to as he's gotten a couple shots these last couple weeks. He's done a nice job with those opportunities, and so we're looking forward to see what he continues to do as he gets more opportunities.
And just a quick, how have you seen that mental
Guys, we can wrap
toughness
this
manifest itself?
He keeps working each and every day, and he's been on the show teams and working extremely hard, and now he has an opportunity, so we'll see where it goes from here.
Thank you.
Thanks, Coach.
It's our experience behind it.
It's been great, just because he's so excited to learn and to continue to improve. He has the right mindset about attacking each and every day and trying to get better. I think about even today's practice, he made improvements from one practice period to another, and he's just thirsty to learn. So whenever you get around players like that, Josh Dobbs, Tommy DeVito also, they come into the room with the right mindset every day, and looking forward to the improvement.
What was that improvement he made in the practice today?
So we had a concept that we probably didn't make the right decision, and the defenders got a hand on it. So we had the same play a little later on in practice, and then it was a completion for an explosive. So that was pretty nice.
How do you go about challenging him?
Challenging Drake?
Yeah.
It's just about continuing to push him out of his comfort zone. A lot of times, especially as a 23-year-old quarterback, you haven't seen every single look. So we try to expose him to new things as much as we can and try to push the envelope in terms of what we're, making him responsible for and the different concepts we try to build throughout the week. So I think it's just keeping him on his toes, but continuously guiding him to make the right decisions.
When you all got here in the offseason, what were kind of your biggest priorities in terms of developing Drake?
I think, we talk about that a ton here. It's just a little bit about his footwork, his pocket maneuvering, moving up in the pocket, trusting the protections, and then moving from one offensive system to another. It's just about owning the details and, what we ask him to do.
What did you see in the way he sort of approached that task of learning a whole new system, in his second year at 23 years old?
he went about it the right way. It's super positive. You know, he was in here, I think our first day in the off-season program was April 7th, and he was in here probably back in February, just in the Foxborough area, talking to myself, talking to Josh, just trying to get his teeth in the playbook as soon as he could. And then he's just been excited to move forward and try to pick it up as quickly as he could, so that way when his teammates got back, he looked like he had a grasp of what he was doing.
Yeah. And did you learn something about the way he learns? You know what I mean? Like his proficiency for picking things up?
Yeah, I think every quarterback learns a little bit differently. I think with Drake early on, he was more of a physical rep learner. He wanted to get into the meeting rooms and walk around and move a little bit and kind of feel what the responsibility was going to be like, and kind of, I wouldn't say there wasn't an entire offense in there with us, but we would have the videos on the board and kind of just have him moving around. So I think he picked it up that way. But Drake is a very smart kid. He can learn in a meeting room setting, in a virtual walkthrough setting, in a actual practice setting. So he takes all those opportunities and kind of translates it to the football field.
Say 23 years old. He's one of the youngest players on the team. He's also a captain.
Yeah.
In which ways have you seen him step up as a leader?
Yeah, I think, the more comfortable he gets, and I think the performance that he's been able to put together the last couple of weeks just brings out a little bit more confidence.
Yeah.
And I think when the entire offense, because his success is due to the offense's success, when they play well, he can play well also. And I think when he starts to feel confident about himself, he wants to make sure that everyone's on the same page so that we can continue to move forward. So he tries to be as vocal as possible to make sure the receivers and all the eligible receivers, tight ends, running backs included, see the things the same way that he sees them, so that way we can be on the same page.
Was that confidence present when you guys got here? Because, I mean, he was, it was a tough season for him as a rookie.
Yeah.
How was he sort of like, I guess, what place was he in when you first started working?
I mean, I think when you're the youngest of four brothers who all play sports, I don't think confidence is something that Drake May lacks. I mean, we have our battles in the quarterback room just talking about basketball. He claims he's still a shooter and can put the ball in the basket. So confidence was never an issue for him. I think it was just more so about getting him comfortable with what we were asking him to do. And then the more he felt that he had a grasp of his job is when he felt comfortable asking other people to do more and to get on the same page.
Is that a big part of a quarterback's development? The fact that you don't have to worry about building him up before you can start applying things. He'd like to have that baseline of I am capable of doing this.
Yeah.
Is that key part of?
I think the confidence of a quarterback is super important. I think of it the same way I think of a golf swing or a kicker or somebody that has a lot of mental pressure on them to go out there and perform each and every day. So I think it's important how you speak to the quarterback and the things you put on his plate, and the fact that you have clear and concise rules so that his job doesn't change on him week to week. So I definitely think that's important. But when you have a quarterback like Drake, who's been pushed around a little bit by his brothers, he has thicker skin than some other people and whatever have you. So I think that helped go into it.
So he noted some players from teams are making fun of him for one of his slides.
Oh, that awful
game.
Slide, yeah.
And then Keyshawn today said, hey, even we tell him, you got a slide?
Yeah.
Do you guys continue to reinforce that
every
week? Just the importance of getting down?
The number 4 thing on our pillars and what we're trying to build our team identity is making great decisions. So for Drake May, being healthy is making a great decision for the football team. So we continuously talk to him about kind of the balance between his aggressiveness and his competitiveness, and then what's going to put us in the best position to win games. So we're continuously talking to him about that. But again, he's a competitor, so he's trying to do what's best for the team and win.
Statistically, his numbers on deep balls are off the charts right now. What is it about him that allows him to be so proficient at throwing deep?
I think it's time on task. I mean, we have to give all these receivers and tight ends and the halfbacks. I think about Ramondre had a big one. Credit for the amount of work they've put in. Just as much as Drake May's been here for the entire offseason program, the training camp, so has all these receivers, including Diggs, Booty, Kyle Williams, Matt Collins. They've all been up here the entire time. So it's just a ton of reps and time on task with one another, so they are comfortable throwing all different levels of the field.
Is there anything, I don't know, special about the way you all work those in practice? Is there any kind of trick you guys have as far as
trick? No.
Yeah.
I don't think there's
just do it a lot.
Yeah, we just do it a ton, and that's something that Drake prides himself in. So as coaches, you try to set up drills to help players maybe work on something that they're not so as proficient at. So throwing the deep ball has always been one of Drake's strong suits. So me and Coach McDaniels and Coach Brable kind of try to focus on the things that we want Drake to elevate a little bit. Which deep passing initially when we got here was not one of those things. But every time Drake has the choice of what drill he would like to do, obviously it's deep shots.
Yeah.
So after practice, he has a guy staying afterwards and just tracking the ball over the shoulder. Same with the running backs. So that's something that he takes a lot of pride in.
What do you think's allowed him to be so accurate?
I think his stroke is consistent. I mean, every single day we're watching the individual periods and watching his throwing motion and making sure that that stays consistent throughout the year. And a lot of it, I think, is God-given ability. Like Mark May and Am May got together one night and they decided that they wanted to have children, and Drake May was a product of that. And his dad was a pretty good quarterback back in the day,
Right.
so I think some of that is just genetics. But I think he works hard at it, and that's something like in the offseason, he has his private quarterback coach that he works with to focus on some of his techniques and things of that nature. But again, this kid is a very hard worker, and I think it's starting to show a little bit.
With the trust that he has in the wide receiver group, does that just come from those sessions after practice, during practice, like you said, those guys being around the whole time?
I think it's those sessions, and I just think it's getting to know each other. So I can spit that out. But they spend a lot of time together being here in Foxborough, so they're going out to eat. They're spending a lot of time, and when you become comfortable with somebody, then you can speak to them about certain things and what you're expecting and things like that. So I just think, again, it's time on task.
How much of the success throw the deep ball comes down to like his decision making, when and when not to throw him?
Yeah, I think it's within the progression. Every quarterback pre-snap has a read and what they're trying to get done. And I think Drake has done a good job staying true to his reads. And some of the deep balls, sometimes it's the first read in the progression, sometimes it's late in the progression, sometimes it's out of structure. So I think he's just done a good job staying true to his rules. And then when those opportunities present himself, he's pressed go on it.
What have you seen from Drake when it comes to how he handles some of the disguises that people have thrown at him?
Yeah.
And also his ability to move defenders and create some of windows himself.
I think he has an uncanny ability to see the coverage post-snap, but that's something that we talk about a lot in our quarterback room. I don't want to take any credit for it because he's the player that's going out there on Sunday and actually getting it done. But we try to give him clues to what to look at pre-snap and what to keep post-snap, and then if he sees a certain look, then he knows what his answers are, what to get back to. So again, this is an example of a quarterback taking his coaching and taking the work that he's put in, and then realizing it on Sunday.
Awesome. Actually, that's great.
Thank you. Nice meeting you.
Nice to meet you.